Hi, welcome to Tiny Peek of Reads. Thank you for being here. I had to take a few weeks off of making long form video content to relax and recharge, but I still wanted to give you my June wrap up, so I know it's a little bit late, but here we go. I read 8 books in the month of June. The first book that I read was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is a young adult contemporary romance. Those can be pretty hit or miss, and it's also been pretty hyped up on the internet, which again can be a red flag. I've been burned before by those recommendations, so I was slightly skeptical to read it, but I thought I'd still give it a chance, and I ended up really enjoying this one. It's cheesy and very predictable, but it still had great characters that I really liked. This is about Liz, who is in high school, and she has always had a massive crush on this guy called Michael, so she recruits the help of her next door neighbor, Wes, to help her get Michael's attention. She and Wes have always had this kind of rivalry going on. They like to mess with each other and rile each other up, but as the two get to know each other better, Liz begins to wonder if maybe there's more to him than she has always seen. Like I said, it's predictable. If you are familiar with the genre, you are going to see all of this coming, but I didn't think that took away from the enjoyment of reading it. It still managed to be genuine, and I think if you like those tropes and you want something easy and pretty PG, then this one would be a good fit for you. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. My next read was a thriller called The Summer Guest by Tess Gerritsen. I stumbled across an audiobook of this and I picked it up because I really liked the setting. It's set in this small, sleepy tourist town in Maine. A teenage girl disappears near the local pond. The plot is pretty generic, but what I really liked is that the people trying to solve the mystery is not just the police, but a quartet of retired CIA agents. That was so much fun seeing them try to pretend to be regular, harmless, elderly people while actually sticking their nose into everything. This was another 4-star. Also, this is apparently a series with those 4 characters, so I'm gonna read some more of those. Next up is a book that I finally finished in June, but I started back in March. This is After the Ice, A Global Human History, 20,000 BC to 5,000 BC by Stephen Mitton. This is a non-fiction book that follows the development of human societies and civilizations. Of course, the most crucial part of this is the agricultural revolution and how humans changed from being hunters and gatherers to settling down, and follows the rise and falls of the first towns and cities. It is very thorough. It's about 600 pages and it is very dense. I think this is one of those nonfiction books where you have to be interested in the subject to enjoy it, otherwise you're probably going to find it pretty dry. But I really loved it and I learned so much. So if you're a fan of history, then I really recommend this one. Then I read another thriller and another one that was pretty hyped up on the internet. This is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This book is about Lucy, who may or may not have murdered her best friend. She can't remember the night that it happened, but she was found wandering the streets covered in her friend's blood, so things aren't looking great for her. It is a few years later now, and she's kind of managed to move past it, but then a podcast decides to cover the case. And Lucy decides that she wants to work with the host to try to solve this murder once and for all. This was a really easy and entertaining read. It doesn't exactly reinvent the genre, but it really did suck me in and had me keep reading because I wanted to know what would happen next. I think if you're going into this expecting it to be absolutely mind-blowing and a 5-star read, then you might be disappointed. But if you're just going into it as a fun, entertaining read, then I think you're gonna like it, and I give this 4 stars. Because I liked Better Than the Movies so much, I decided to pick up another Lynn Painter book. This is Happily Never After. This is a kind of anti-romance book. I picked it up thinking it was going to be cute and PG, the same way that Better Than the Movies was, but it's not PG. It is not. This is about Sophie and Max, who meet when Sophie hires Max to interrupt her wedding. She has just found out that her fiancé has been cheating on her and she doesn't want to call off the wedding herself so that she doesn't seem like the bad guy, so she hires Max to come and object. And afterwards they kind of start this side hustle of breaking up weddings for people that are in similar positions. I give this one 3 stars. It's the kind of book where you're having a good time when you're reading it, but the second you put it down, you kind of completely forget about it. It felt a little bit rushed, like the author was kind of trying to hit a deadline rather than genuinely coming up with a cool idea and taking the time to actually flesh it out. I think with books that have a plot that is pretty absurd and out there, like this one kind of is, I mean the whole concept is that they go around breaking up weddings. I think with books like that, you either have to lean completely into the absurdity or ground it in really realistic characters, and this book kind of did neither. You can write a great book with an absurd plot, like Beauty Queens by Libba Bray is about pageant queens that crash land on a deserted island, but this one leans fully into the absurdity of that concept, and that makes it really good. Or you have a book like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which is about space aliens eating the sun and trying to save the world. Also absolutely insane if you think about it, but it has such a grounded and well-written main character that the whole book never really seems that absurd. So while this book really wasn't bad, I do think it might have benefited from having a bit more time spent on it. Of course, to no one's surprise, I had to read another Agatha Christie book, and I chose a Caribbean mystery in The Spirit of Summer. In this one, Miss Marple goes on holiday, and who could have seen it coming? Somebody gets murdered, and she has to try to solve the mystery. This was a fun one with a really cool setting, which I very much enjoyed, and I gave it 4 stars. Lastly was another nonfiction book. This is Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers by Mary Roach. This was a really interesting one. It's all about how human cadavers throughout history have been used for medical research and science experiments and safety testing and organ donations. It does get pretty gory at a lot of points, so maybe don't read this one while you're eating. But it's written in a way that's really easy to understand and engaging to read. I think if you're trying to get into nonfiction, but you usually find them boring and dry, then this one might be a good one to start off with. And that is it. That was all the books that I read in the month of June. Have you read any of these? What was your favorite book that you've read in June? Please let me know in the comments. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that I will see you in the next video. Bye!